So our theme this month is trust. And my topic today is Together We Trust. Those of you who attend or listen to me on some kind of regular basis might notice that there's a pattern in the topics. Where at the beginning of the month, you usually start with the concept itself more, and particularly how we embody it and what it means in our personal lives, and we move to more interpersonal. And by the time I get to the end of the month, is how do we apply this on the big global scale? And I think that's so important, and you'll hear me talk about this often, that we really have to be able to go someplace deep within and also be able to take that spirituality out in the world. That I find so often there will be practices that take you in, like really, really deep, but nobody's acting like anything's going on outside the world. And then there are other traditions where everybody's, let's change this, let's change that, and they're not at peace themselves, trying to bring the peace in the world that they don't have. And what I know is that if you want change, if you really want change, and change not just for the sake of it being different, but change from the standpoint of transformation, you have to start from the inside out. That the only way the outer form is going to change is if there's an inner vibration that changes, and that outer demonstration then reflects that new shift. So let that sink in for a second. Because the same principles are true on the micro level, on the macro level. There are not different laws. There's not different gravity for a tennis ball than a rocket ship. There's not more life in a Doberman Pinscher than a Chihuahua. They're both dogs. It's all the same. It's all the same life everywhere, just expressing itself in different forms, but it's all the same. It's all the same. In the reading, we were talking about the fact that most of us have our greatest difficulty just in consistency. I say that all the time, that our biggest challenge in spirituality is consistency. It's not learning more. It's not even doing more. It's in taking whatever little bit that you know and sticking with it. Not dropping the ball, really using that, and using that in as many places as you possibly can. You don't have to try to do a whole lot of things. You don't have to try to work on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 spiritual qualities all at once. You don't have to try to do love and strength and courage and wealth and, pick one. I'm serious. Pick one and work it. If it's love, work it. If it's trust, work it. If it's integrity, work it. Because all of the qualities are interrelated. They really aren't different things. They're just different expressions of the same thing. So if you practice love enough, you will experience peace. You experience peace, you experience joy. You experience joy, you experience your creativity. You experience your creativity, you experience power. You experience power, it's like it all goes. You start with power, and you really start to experience that, then that will take you to all the other places. The reason why this is important is that it isn't just a one-size-fits-all. I know that there are a lot of spiritual traditions that give you a prescription, kind of like the military, like do this. And we're all just going to do this. But it would be me being like a doctor giving everybody the same prescription. Everybody's body is different. Each of us are at different places in our spiritual journey. Some of us need to speak up. Some of us, quite frankly, need to shut up. Some people need to take up a little bit more space. Some people need to reel it in a little bit. So what we ask you to do is to really listen. It's like, really listen to the kernels that we speak here, and you will be led for how to do it for you. Everybody doesn't need the same diet. Everybody doesn't need the same exercise program. People have different kinds of dharma. Some people, their dharma is service. Some people, their dharma is working with the children. Some people, their dharma is being in hospice. We have a lot of hospice, workers here. Not my dharma. Not my dharma. That's not my particular calling. This calling in life is not the vow to silence. It's an honorable spiritual practice. It's just not mine. At least not this time. I can't say what it's been before, but it's so important for you not to compare yourself to somebody else, or to get into what's better or not better, or even trying to hang on to the same expression all of your life. Because we grow, we mature, there are phases and there are stages, there are seasons. Okay? So there are times to really be in service, but there are times to be quiet. If you look at Scripture, you'll see that. There'll always be these instances where you'll have Jesus walking amongst the people and doing things, and then you'll hear he was stealing away. He was off, up on some mountain and whatnot, and coming back or coming in. You have to have the balance. Are you with me? You got to have the balance. We've been talking about trust. And so often when we think of trust, we're looking outside of ourselves. And we're looking at who to trust, what to trust, when to trust, and I trust somebody's going to open up the windows. Like now. It's a hot day. We're busy looking at the external. Okay? But I want to flip this on us a little bit. I want to flip it. The first place that you have to trust is you. And I'm not just talking about trusting yourself for what you're going to do, but trusting that you're more resilient than you think that you are. Listen to what I'm saying. Trust that you are more resilient than you think that you are. Part of the reason why we're walking around with so many fears about what other people are going to do is because we think we can't survive it. We think we can't survive it. I'm afraid of how you're going to treat me because I don't think I'm going to be able to get over that. I don't think I'm going to be able to handle that. I'm afraid of what's going to happen in the economy because if this thing happens in the economy, I'm afraid my family and I'm not going to be able to survive that. I'm afraid that if this thing happens or that thing happens, what I am not trusting is me. I'm not trusting that I can handle it. I'm not trusting that I have the wherewithal to rise above. That I have the capacity and that I have the resilience to keep on keeping on. I'm not trusting that if stuff happens that I don't like, that somehow or another that can actually be turned around to be a blessing for me. I'm looking at things as though they're like absolute good, absolute bad, and I want to stay away from this other stuff here because it's going to hurt me. Do you feel what I'm saying? And I just got through saying the micro, the macro, they're the same thing. So the same fear that we have in our own individual lives, is the same fear that we have collectively. We won't make it. We won't survive. We can't handle this thing or that thing. We'll never get over it. So often my efforts to control you is because I'm trying to protect me. I'm trying to control you because I'm concerned that whatever this is that you're going to do is going to have such a huge impact as to diminish my life. And in that self-protection, in that moment, I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting. I'm not trusting that I have what it takes. And I'm not trusting that I'm part of something much bigger than everything that exists for good and naturally heals. I'm not seeing myself as inside of that. And we'll do the same thing on the collective level, where somehow or another in my mind, I don't see us as collectively part of something bigger than our own selves. I don't see us collectively as something that can heal, something that can move towards wholeness. I'm back into this protective thing. And the moment that we give anything the power over us to define our future and our possibilities, we make a God out of it. You make a God out of anything that you let define you, limit you, determine your possibilities, how bright your future can be, how much you can have, what you can do, who you can be. Stop worshiping idol gods. We need to stop making gods out of our relationships, gods out of our careers, gods out of our finances, gods out of our body temples, gods out of the economy or whoever's in the administration. In the King James Version of the Bible, it's quoted as saying that God says, I am a jealous God. Don't worship anybody or anything else because I'm a jealous God. And that characterization, to me, kind of trivializes and makes petty. There's this way we anthropomorphize God. We're projecting off on the absolute, all our little petty characteristics that we have as human beings. But if you look it up linguistically, the word actually isn't jealous. That the word that's being translated there, and we don't even have a word for it in English, it's without rival. Not that I'm a jealous God, but I'm without rival. There is nothing that compares to me. There is nothing that competes with me. You can't have another one because I'm the only one. Not, I'm going to get mad at you because you try to do something else. But it's fallacious to think that there's something else, because there's only the one thing. There is only the one thing. When we recognize that there's only the one thing, we stop empowering in our minds people, places, and things to have the final word. We give way too much attention to the so-called facts. And we treat the facts as though they are absolute. And they're not. Facts are facts until they change. A fact is just a fact until it changes. It's a fact you're sitting here now. In a moment you won't be. That stops being a fact. And if it looks like the same fact keeps showing up, it's because we keep recreating that same fact. And what's a fact is so much a matter of perception. Listen to what I'm saying. What is a fact is so much a matter of perception. Because we put an overlay on stuff as to what does this mean? What is its interpretation? What is its significance? What does that mean? You could even say something like, well, my dad left us when I was 6. Like, that's a fact. But what really is the fact there? He was no longer in the household. But even that perception that he left us, is that really a fact? We wind up having to unpack all this stuff. Are you with me? You don't know what was going on there. Or what was happening, and even characterizing it as he left us. That becomes my little fact. Then all my world gets built around that. And so much of our spiritual journey is unlearning. Most of your spiritual journey isn't learning more. It's unlearning. It's unpacking all the overlays that we have put on top of things. The perceptions, the views, the paradigms, the practices, all of these things that obscure our view of the sanctity of ourselves as spiritual beings. We have to have more belief in humanity. We really do. We have to have more belief in human beings as fundamentally, first and foremost, spiritual beings. Not just some of us. Listen to what I'm saying. Not just some of us, but all of us. Not just some of us, but all of us. And in this extremely contentious political environment that we're in, we are finding very painstakingly just how much facts aren't facts. All right? And we're finding out very painstakingly what a lot of us are really feeling about each other. A couple of days ago, I did a videotaping, one of the big tech companies. I'm sort of like their corporate chaplain, so to speak, particularly on diversity issues. So when a lot of big stuff goes down and their staff, international staff, is trying to wrestle with what things are going on, sometimes they Zoom me in and I'm Zoom talking to people, or sometimes they're doing, writing things, and after some of the stuff that happened, the pushback and the riot stuff in Charlottesville with the far right and the left clashing with each other and the violence and whatnot. And just like there was like so many things that were going on. And I was raised Christian. I've told you that. Not just Christian, fundamentalist, evangelical, charismatic, Pentecostal Christian. Now, the Bible that I read said, Jesus said, they will know you are my disciples by your love. And that love was the greatest commandment. Now, I don't know about you, but I ain't seeing a whole bunch of love out there. I'm not seeing it. Okay? And quite frankly, I'm not seeing it on any of the sides. I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of divisiveness, and I'm seeing a lot of mistrust, distrust, and disgust. But at some point, energetically, we have to rise above. If this were a family, for example, as opposed to a nation that I'm talking about, but you see the same thing works. If there's contention and dissension in your family, you're not going to heal trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. That's not what's going to happen. You're not going to heal by more fighting. You're not going to heal by more estrangement, by more distancing, by more bad-mouthing each other, by throwing more darts and threats and blasting each other all over social media. And that's not going to heal your family. Yes? True? It's not going to heal your family. At some point, there has to be something transcendent in your mind that's bigger than how everybody's acting. There has to be the possibility in your mind of the healing. I started off talking about the resiliency. See, there has to be the possibility in my mind that this family can heal. There has to be the possibility in my mind that regardless of whatever it is that's happened, this family has resiliency. There has to be something in my mind that is bold enough and audacious enough to say, I'm not giving up on anybody. And we're all going to make it through. I don't know how. I can't tell you when or what it's going to look like, but we ain't leaving nobody behind in this family. We are all going to make it through. Are you with me? Yes. It takes that kind of trust. See? This isn't, I'm trusting you're going to act right. Trusting I'm going to find a space to forgive you. Trusting so-and-so going to stop drinking, or so-and-so going to come home, or so-and-so going to leave, or whatever I think has to happen. And most of us are unwilling to imagine the healing because we can't see those things. Because I can't figure out how to get you back. Because I can't figure out how I'm going to forgive. Because I can't figure out when I can get rid of you. So I can't in my mind imagine any kind of healing. in my mind, I can't imagine seeing my family on the other side. The spiritual qualities come first. The evidence comes after the embodiment of the quality. Most of us want to see the evidence, proof, before we're willing to be it. Show me you're going to love me, and then I'll love. Give me some money, and then I'll believe there's abundance and prosperity. Take away this cancer, and then I'll dare to believe that I can be healthy. Once the cancer goes, then I'll know I can be healthy. Even in the midst. Even in the midst. There has to be this bold audacity that says, we can make it. I can make it. We can survive. We're bigger than this. Just like with your own family. And sometimes that means sucking it up, baby. Sometimes that means getting off of your righteousness. Because you can be right all by your little right self. Maybe it's just me. But there are a lot of times I was right all by my little right self. And at some point you have to make the choice. What's more important? Do you want to be, quote unquote, right? Or do you want stuff healed? Do you want stuff redeemed? I remember giving an example a number of months ago that's coming up in my head about this idea of being right. So, if you're 15, you don't have a driver's license, you don't even have a driver's permit, and you take my brand new car, you my kid, you 15, you take, without my permission or knowledge, my brand new car with your friends, and you go drinking, and you drunk total my new car, you wrong. Baby, that's clear. Now, where do we go from here? Okay. If I keep harping on how wrong you are, my family's not going to heal. And chances are this will just be the first of many cars you total. Are you with me? But if I start asking some bigger questions about my family and our relationship and healing and wholeness and seeing ourselves on the other side of this, and if I start asking some deeper questions like, what is my 15-year-old being drunk out there driving in the first place? It might just have something to do with me. Hello? It might have something to do with me and my right self. And that's what we will find. The same thing politically. We can stand on all of our right and our right and our right. And you know what? If we look at it, some of it might even have something to do with us. Now, I know this may seem heretical. And it won't be the first time I've said it, and it won't be the last. We need to have some compassion. Do I agree with the far right? No. That would not be a surprise that I did not vote for Donald Trump. Woo! Newsflash. You don't have to tweet that. That won't be a surprise to anybody. But you know what? I've been black all my life. I know a riot when I see one. I know a riot when I see one. When people are pissed, they're pissed about something. And it's easy to dismiss their pissosity as just being angry, or they're lawless, or out of touch. But it takes a lot to get a lot of people violent all at the same time. That doesn't just happen every day. You can't just like walk out on the street and say, "Come on, everybody, let's go burn something down." They're not going to just like, oh, run out and go join you. Are you get what I'm saying? When there's a mob mentality, so to speak, people are pissed about something. Do you have the courage to really look at what your so-called enemies are so pissed about? And maybe, just maybe, it got something to do with you. There's been a lot of change. There's been a whole lot of change. A lot of people's worlds have been turned upside down over the last 20, 30 years. And if we're going to make it, we have to feel the same way about this nation as I said about our family. We're all going to go through. Where nobody is dispensable, nobody is disposable, where nobody's going to be left behind, but that's going to mean coming up to a whole other level. Because there aren't enough of us who believe that everybody can be successful simultaneously. There aren't enough people who really believe that there can be a world that works for everyone. There just aren't enough of us that really believe that somehow or another we can have a world of civility. All the different sides are looking at the other as though they're the devil or they're the evil one. And somehow we're not going to get anywhere till we can get rid of them. And it doesn't matter who's on the other end of needing to be gotten rid of. It's the paradigm itself that has to go. Are you with me? It's the paradigm itself that has to go. Jesus told us to pray an hour prayer. Give us this day the bread for our needs this day, to forgive us our trespasses. We all trespass. We all miss the mark. We're all indebted to each other in some kind of way. To trespass across the boundaries, we're all doing that to each other all the time in ways that we don't even understand sometimes. Can you stand there? Can you trust that humanity has enough resiliency that just like with our own body temples, if you don't give up on it, if you're willing to see it, you're willing to bless it. All this old bum knee. Oh, this back gonna be the death of me yet. Oh, that's an affirmation. My son gonna be the death of me yet. Oh, that's a really good affirmation. Can we just start where we are? Start where we are. We don't have to figure out how all of it's gonna work. But I tell you, if you don't start with the idea that it can, and that's all I'm asking right now. I'm not asking you to trust everybody going to do everything. just trust that we live in a divinely ordered universe, that there's some kind of organizing principle in the universe, that it's the only thing that is, that everybody and everything is made out of it. It is not divided. It is not opposed to its own self. There's no evil. You take people out of the equation and there's no evil. The only thing you'll ever see evil is what people do when we don't know that we're part of the one. You can't go out to the mountains and find evil. I mean, evil doesn't exist on the planet. We bring it with our consciousness. Are you with me? But if we dare to believe, if we dare to take this stance that says this universe is always healing, I don't care what happens. It could be a forest fire, and you know what? There's going to be new growth next year. Yes? No matter what devastation, no matter what happens, you can put cement on top and the little grass will come up through the crack. Life will not be denied. If you just trust no more than that. If you just trust that life just keeps being life. Life just keeps being life. Just this week, I can't tell you how many people I know died and were born. Just this week. This tenacity that I'm talking about, don't drop the ball. Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your neighbor. Don't give up on your family. Don't give up on your nation. Just whatever that is that you know, just stand on that. If you know love heals, then know that unwaveringly. If you know that what goes around comes around, stand on that unwaveringly and watch what you put out. Whatever you know, just stand there and pull everybody else in it with you. If you know that when a door closes, a window opens, apply that to the nation. If you really know that in your life and that's something then have the audacity to imagine that on the big level. Are you with me? We can make it. We can make it. We can flourish. We can evolve. We can heal. We can transform. But we have to allow it. We have to align with it. We'd have to declare that's who we are and what we are about. And just like with that family, you got to get to the point where you say, I don't care. I don't care what's happened. I don't care. This is my family. This is my family. And we are leaving no one behind. And if you could have that same, this is my spiritual community. And we're leaving no one behind. This is my job. This is my company. And we're leaving no one behind. This is my neighborhood. This is my state. This is my nation. This is our planet. And we are leaving nobody behind. Because what's possible anywhere is possible everywhere. And that's where I'm going to stand. You stand there with me? Yes. Let's pray. Let's pray. turn within in this moment. Steal away home to the upper room, the inner chamber. The secret place of the Most High. A touchstone to remember who I am. In this world, but not of it, not from here. We take this moment to re-anchor. To remember that we are not our stuff. We are not our jobs. We're not our finances. We are not our relationships. We're not our politics. It's not what we are. We're not even our bodies. We are incarnations. There's something that's in the body that's transcendent of the body. And in this moment right now, I speak a prayer of gratitude. The ultimate attitude of just gratitude. I say thank you. Thank you for this precious thing called life. The gift of being alive. Create in us a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within us. As the psalmist says, create in us a clean heart. That's the totality. Our mind, our thinking, our emotions, our actions, and renew a right spirit within us. So in this moment right now, we choose. We choose to take the weight of the backpacks off. We lay the burdens down. We lay them down by the riverside. We lay them down. In this moment right now, we drink of the living waters of grace. They wash over us, cleansing, purifying, purging. All the worries, all the cares. We lay them on the altar, and we allow the alchemy of the refiner's fire to yield it, to transform it, transmute it. Matter is neither created nor destroyed, it only changes form. So we pry our fingers off the forms. Take all of this, sweet spirit, and make something out of it that's a blessing to everybody. In this moment right now, I pray the prayer of all needs met. Sufficiency. The prayer of enoughness. That each and every person individually and all of us collectively have all of our needs met. Our spiritual needs met. For most of the drama that we see is just a spiritual crisis. A sense of separation from the divine. And let that be healed in this moment. That we all know that we are sons and daughters of the Most High. And treat each other with that dignity and that respect. I'm knowing that the healing is taking place in our body temples. And all of our bodies of affairs, our financial body, our body politic. We have the courage to call it forth. To stand in the midst of the storm and call forth the peace. The peace is in the eye. It's in the middle of the storm. The health is in the middle of that body temple that appears to be ill. The harmony, the love, the forgiveness is in the middle of the seeming chaos. We call it forth. This is a freedom song. Thank you for blessing our lives. Thank you for blessing this spiritual community. Thank you for allowing us to fulfill our great purpose in life. And as I pray this prayer, I know that the wave just ripples. Anybody and everybody in need of a prayer, ride the wing. Doesn't matter how you worship or don't worship. God is all loving us all the same anyway. Oh, I release this gift. And yes, it's a gift. Get out of the way. Get out of the way of the divine circuits. Our bloated nothingness, as Emerson says, we get out of the way of the divine circuit. And simply allow the great I am that is to be. It is done. It is finished. It is good. And so